What's going on, you guys? Welcome to another episode with the Country Slicker. I'm Griffin, and today we're going to be talking a little bit about the Ford Tremor. We're going to give you a full in-depth review, long-term, how we like the Tremor, how the F-150 has been holding up, what we've been using it for daily, some of the pros, and then some of the cons, some things that I would have loved to improve upon. So stay right with us, you guys. We're going to walk you through the truck tip to tail, the first 20,000 kilometers of ownership on our 2023 Ford F-150 Tremor. Stay right with us, guys. We're going to be back right after this short introduction. I'm grabbing my bear spray. We are way out here. We need to be on that side. Unfortunately, we were going down a trail exploring. Trail fix. Good. Yeah, good. Rim exploded. Look at this. In business. Minus the shock. At this time, we'd like to give a shout out to our sponsors for making this YouTube channel possible. Alright, so welcome back, guys. So today we wanted to take a quick look at our 2023 Ford F-150 Tremor. So just to start off the video, just to tell you guys a little bit about the truck and what our uses are for it. So it's 2023 3.5 liter EcoBoost engine, comes with the 373 gearing from the factory. We have this one in a 401A package. So that forfeits the cooled seats, the better sound system, and a couple other little things like the premium leather package on the seats and a couple other little creature comforts. The reason that we did that is because we knew we were going to be pulling heavy with this thing. So the F-150 Tremor is rated to pull 10,900 pounds. Our full pulling setup is 10,500. So we're right on the edge. By saving all the weight that we did from upgrading to a 402A package, we were able to get a heavier payload package. So just to touch on what I have done to the truck, anything that's aftermarket, the truck is more or less stock. The only things that I've changed on it is I did a Borla S-type exhaust because I felt the EcoBoost was way too quiet with the stock exhaust. And I love it. I love being able to hear it. I love being able to get on the gas and actually hear my truck spooling up. We've done some underglow lights or some rock lights on it. That was just to give a little bit of aesthetic appeal as well as be able to show us where our wheels are when we're night wheeling. To start off, let's talk about our uses with the truck. So this truck is my daily driver. I use it for cruising around, going to the gym, doing groceries, doing all the running around. It's also our road trip truck. So we take this thing to BC and back, Saskatchewan and back. We've been up all the way up north past Fort McMurray. We've been the other direction past Dawson Creek. We drive this truck everywhere. I just bought it in March, and to date we have 20,800 and change on the odometer. So we do use this truck quite a bit. We use this to tow my side-by-side. So we have a 2,100 pound KRX 1000 from Kawasaki. We pull that with it on a flat deck 7x12 trailer. We also pull our fifth wheel in tandem with that trailer as well to go out camping on the weekends. So we've done, I think we did 24 nights in our trailer this year. So we use it for towing a lot. We use it for driving on the daily a lot. We use it for road tripping. And then of course we also take it out to the bush and we go off-roading with the truck, hit some trails here and there. Nothing super aggressive, but we definitely do take it on some trails that a lot of Jeeps go on, and we definitely do get the question of, what are you doing out here in your F-150? So that's our use for the truck. It's definitely an all-around vehicle. The primary reason we bought the F-150 Tremor is because it checked all of those boxes. We could tow heavy with it. We could do our daily driving with it, and it was very comfortable. And there was, the gas mileage is good when the truck's empty. So all those things. So I want to get into that first. So I guess first things first, how does it drive on the daily? It drives very well. We've had no problems with the truck. I love the power that the EcoBoost puts out. It's quite a quick truck, especially once you put it into sport mode. Very fast truck. Very smooth truck in terms of the suspension. Because it has the Tremor package, you do get that off-road shock package on there, and it rides really nice. It's super smooth on the roads, it's super smooth on the highways, it's super nice whenever you're towing. It still keeps stiff enough in the rear end that whenever you're just pulling the fifth wheel on there, it tows very nicely that way. So really impressed with the overall drivability of a truck. I know if I had gone up to a diesel, it would have been a lot rougher of a ride, and that's one thing I really commend the F-150 for, is that it drives so nice and so smooth on this truck, and that is on 18-inch rims with a 33-inch tire from the factory. So it definitely has a little bit more meat to it, and it handles it really well. So overall, the driving experience, just daily driving, I love the truck. I have no issues with it. It's been great. One thing I do want to touch on is the transmission. You will hear a lot of guys that buy these ones with the new 10-speed, and they're going to talk to you about, hey, the truck, the 10-speed transmission's all over the place. It has harsh shifts on the way down. I did experience that when I first bought the truck, and it smartened up after the first 10 to 15,000 kilometers. So we'll just cut that out to say it's a learning issue on the ECM side of things. But you do need to give the computer time to learn how your driving is, what kind of driving you do, and how those shifts should be performed. Because that was one of my complaints. Whenever I first bought the truck, it had the heavy shifting on the way down, and I was really upset about that. I phoned my manufacturer, I phoned Ford where I bought it from, and said, hey, I'm having this issue. And they said, no problem. We can flash it. We can put the new tune onto there. Or sorry, we can flash it. The truck can relearn itself, and you can go about the break-in procedure again. But we recommend waiting till at least 10,000 kilometers to see what happens with that. So that's what I've done, and it's worked out for me, okay? 20,000 K, and it shifts smooth as butter now. I have no problems with it whatsoever. So I guess on that note, as much as we love the truck overall, the seats are nice. The heated seats work really well. We like that. I've had no issues with the battery. I've had no issues with the truck just in terms of the drivability of it. It's been really great. All the electronics work. I haven't had a single glitch. My center console blip out. I've heard some people having electronic issues with either their battery dying, or their screen doesn't want to turn on, or their windshield wipers don't work, stuff like that. I've seen a little bit of that here and there on the forums. I myself have not experienced any issues whatsoever with that. It's been really good that way. So yeah, on that note now, I think we should talk a little bit about the towing capabilities of this truck. So as I mentioned earlier, it's a 3.5 liter EcoBoost engine. So it puts out 400 horsepower, I believe 450 foot-pound torque stock. Really solid for towing, really solid. So we've pulled my my 7x12 flat deck trailer that we used to pull my side-by-side. I pulled that thing all over with that. I think we've got 2,200 or 2,300 kilometers towing with that. And then as well, my fifth wheel setup. So we've got a 25-foot fifth wheel trailer, a little bit older. It weighs roughly 6,500 pounds. That guy we've put on 3,200 kilometers of towing with. And we've pulled that guy. The longest stretch we've done is all the way from Dawson Creek back to Calgary, Alberta, which is a huge tow. It's 800 plus kilometers, and the truck handles it. So with that setup in combination with my side-by-side on the back, that thing weighs 10,500 pounds. This truck is only rated for 10,900. So we're right at the edge. In terms of payload, this truck comes with a 1,715 pound payload package on it. With everything loaded up and my fiance and my dog in the truck, we're looking at 1,650, I believe it is. So we're right on the edge for payload as well. And the truck does it. I'm not going to say that it's the perfect truck to be tandem towing with. At the end of the day, it is still a half ton, so we're asking a lot of it. But it does well. It gets the job done. It gets us out camping. And obviously, we're comfortable enough to take it on 8-hour road trips and get there and be okay. That said, we do allow a little extra time for braking. We allow a little bit of extra time for speeding up. The truck has the power to pull it. It will pull it all day. Stopping it, the truck struggles a little bit, but with good trailer brakes, it's definitely doable. It's definitely something that you can comfortably do. So when I see people posting and asking, hey, on my F-150 Tremor, can I get away with pulling a 6,000 pound trailer? 150%, yes you can. No problems, you'll get it done. It will tow it like a dream. You don't have to worry about that. Another really key factor, again, that I said earlier is that transmission. Having that 10-speed transmission that's constantly looking in tow mode to get a good gear, that's a good thing. So the truck does that really well. It doesn't hunt too bad. It really does keep the speed nicely on the highways. You are making boost, which means you're going to use a little bit more gas, but at the end of the day, you're not buying a truck to get good gas mileage. You're buying a truck to do truck things. The suspension on the Tremor is softer, as I mentioned earlier. You do give up a little bit of that positive towing experience for the softer suspension on the Tremor. That is just one of the things. If you're just buying an F-150 to do towing with, I'd probably recommend going to a Lariat or an XLT. I think the softer suspension on the Tremor does hurt you a little bit in terms of comfortability towing. Because it's softer, you do get a little more bounce in the back end. You do get a little bit more of that unsure feeling and unsteady feeling in windy conditions when you're pulling a big setup, but it is all part of the experience. And that kind of brings us to our next part of the video too that I want to talk about, and that's off-road performance. This truck is awesome off-road. Really, really good. Like, blew me out of the water in terms of what it can do. So I came traditionally from a Jeep background. So I had a Jeep Wrangler, I had a Jeep Grand Cherokee, solid axle ZJ Cherokee. I was really nervous going to a full-size truck because I still wanted to get out on the weekends. I still wanted to go with my friends, hit our favorite trails. I knew that a half ton was going to be wider. I knew it was going to be slower. I knew I wouldn't get the articulation. I knew I wouldn't get the ride quality. But I wanted to see, okay, if I spend the money on a newer vehicle, am I going to be able to go out on the weekend, and am I going to be able to hit this with my friends? And the truth of the matter is that, yeah, I've had a really, really positive experience with it. I've had a lot of fun with this truck. This is...
Yeah, buddy. Yep. Breezy.
The suspension is super soft, so you get a really nice ride quality going out in the bush. We have skid plates underneath it. I've hit tons of stuff. You guys can see my front skid plate here. It's bashed up. It's been dragged across the rocks. If you look at my running boards on the sides, which I've been using as sliders, even though that's not what they are, these Raptor running boards are tough. You can see I've hit them on stuff. I've bottomed this thing out. I've had the full truck weight on either side of this truck multiple times. And yeah, we've lost a little bit of that Raptor liner that's on there, but they aren't bent up to the point the doors will not open. They've held the weight. They've provided the protection to the body that we needed, that we would have expected from something with Raptor style running boards. I'm nothing but blown away with the armored protection on the side of this truck. I think it's really, really good. There's more power than you're ever going to need on an off-road truck. There's way more power than you're ever going to need. You're never going to put your foot to the floor on this thing because you're going to be blowing axles. You're going to be spinning the tires like crazy. You won't get that traction. But in terms of just off-roading the truck with the stock tires on it, the stock 373 gearing, and just sort of seeing where those 33s will take you, I'm nothing but blown away. We've tried technical rocks with this truck and it's not been an issue. We've tried some of the higher hill climbs where we need that 4 low crawling ratio, and the truck's done it, no issues. We've done a little bit of mud and stuff like that. These are AT tires, so it's not going to take you through crazy mud pits, but can you get out and have fun? Hell yeah, you can. And we've trusted it not only to take us when we're off-road through mud, but even when we're hooked up to our fifth wheel trailer and we're going through muddy trails to get to our off-grid camping spots. No problem whatsoever. The tires that are on this thing are phenomenal right out of the box. With the 18-inch tires, you're able to air this thing down. When I'm off-road, the lowest I've gone is about 15 PSI, and I've had no problems off-roading this. I haven't been having any issues with the tires popping off the bead. I haven't had any issues with the truck not grabbing traction. It's been really, really solid that way. So in terms of light to some moderate off-roading, I don't think that the Tremor is going to disappoint you at all. Would a Raptor do it better? Maybe. The issue with the Raptor is that it's so wide, and when you're into the Tremor, you still have that narrow capacity to go in between trees and to get through things. So really, really good truck that way. So off-road, it's a sweet truck. It's super fun. With the aluminum body, it still comes in at 5,500 pounds. So if you do get stuck, it's not the end of the world. You'll still get pulled out by a Jeep or a bigger side-by-side with maybe a little bit of help. So you're not going to have to worry about that. The front and rear tow points, solid. I've used them on multiple occasions. I've been able to get pulled out or pull somebody else out without ripping off any tow hooks, without bending the body, without causing any issues. So it's been really solid that way. One thing that I do want to point out that's a little bit more unique about the Tremor that I've come to appreciate is the way that that rear dual exhaust is tucked up and backwards. So when you're coming over things that have a little bit higher breakover angle and you will hit, I'm sorry, but it's an F-150, it's not a Wrangler, so you are gonna hit on some stuff, but it does tend to hit your rear trailer hitch long before it hits your bumper or bend your exhaust up. And that's something that I think Ford did a really, really good job about. I know I've been out with guys that have the Chevys, and you can see when the guys come over on the Chevys, they really start to crunch into their body whenever they have that breakover angle issue. I'm not taking a shot at anybody. Every manufacturer has pros, cons, but that's definitely a big pro for the F-150 is that smart redesign on the back. Just to touch on the interior of the truck, it's quite a nice truck for a daily driving vehicle. We love the fact that there's tons of space up front for us. We love the size of the center console. We love the amount of storage, both in the side doors, the front console. You have that cool little sliding console on the top too, so if you need a spot to throw keys or gum or a knife or something like that, there's lots of room for that. The middle storage has tons and tons and tons of room, so you can throw lots of stuff in there. I actually keep my winch controller, some gum, a bag of peanuts, tons of stuff. You can shove tons of stuff in that center console and it fits no issue. In the rear of the seat, I've sat there once whenever we were driving around. I had no problem fitting back there, and I'm 6 feet tall. So there's tons of space. It felt very roomy, very comfortable. I know for me, I leave my seats up a lot of the time, and I'll travel around with my off-road gear in the back or a cooler. Oftentimes I have my dog with me. It's a really, really comfortable spot for my dog to go with the seats up. Sometimes we'll have a third person with us, a passenger in the back, and they're using the jump seat, and then the other 60% of the seats that are folded up is where my dog sits. She has no problem. Our passenger has no problem. There's lots of space in the rear. Another thing that I should probably touch on, the little things that Ford has done. So if I had to pull a couple of pros out of the Tremor and things that I really, really like, first off, it's going to be the power for sure. With my full setup, which is over 10,000 pounds, I've never come across a hill that I couldn't accelerate up. And I've gone up some steep hills with that setup. So the power is always there. When those turbos spool up and it drops down to 7th or even 6th gear, the truck might scream at you a little bit, but man, oh man, does it haul. So that's the first plus for sure. Towability is amazing. Second thing that I want to talk about that I really like is, as mentioned earlier, those tow hooks, front and rear on the Tremor, rock solid. There is no reinforcement needed. They work very, very well in an off-road setting, and I would trust them to pull out a rig that's as heavy, if not heavier than mine, without having any sort of damage or issues. So that's super, super nice. In terms of little features that are less discussed, one thing that it does really well that I really, really like is inside. When you hit that rear view camera button and you're driving, you can see what's behind you. Now that's kind of cool whenever you have other vehicles behind you, but it's really sweet whenever you're like me and you pull your side by side, because you can hit that rear view button and see what's going on in terms of the sway, make sure your straps are all still there, make sure that, you know, if there's anything like whip lights or anything like that, you can just check all of it. And it gives a lot of comfort when you're going down the highway. You don't have to stop every hour and check your straps. It is something that I worry about, but because of that button, bam, I hit it, I'm looking behind me, I can see everything. Really, really, really like that feature. I think Ford was really smart when they put that together. Auxiliary switches, having all those 6 top outfitter switches. So far I've only got rock lights hooked to them, but in terms of the hookup for those rock lights, super, super easy. And you guys can go into my channel and you guys can check out a video on how I put those rock lights in if you'd like. But those upfitter switches are a really, really handy way to hook up accessories and not have to worry about, well, where am I going to splice this to? Where should the wiring go? Where's the fuse for it? Blah, 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 blah. Very, very easy. Ford, kudos. You guys did an awesome, awesome job. Next thing that I should mention on is the skid plates. So these guys come with a front skid. They come with a gas plate skid, or sorry, a gas tank skid, as well as a transmission / differential skid plate. All of those on mine are marked up, have been beat on, have been dropped on. We've had instances where we have used them and they've held up to the crushing abilities, the capabilities. They've held up extremely well to, you know, that off-road use. So when we hit rocks, when we hit stumps, trees, dirt mounds, whatever, I haven't had any issues with the truck. I haven't had any damage come to it, thank God. But I 100% think that that's because of the good skid plates that they used on this. I was a little hesitant when I saw the thickness of the aluminum on the very front one. But as you guys can see, mine is scratched. It's not dented. It hasn't had any issues where it's broken through. I can still get that plate off very easily to change my oil filter. So it's been a really, really good truck that way. What could be improved upon? There's nothing that I would say is fundamentally wrong with this truck. Nothing. Could there be improvements? Yes. Number one, 17-inch rims. The 18s are cool. They look great. they air down okay. If we had 17s, that would give you better access to aftermarket wheels and tires if you wanted to go to a 35. It would also give you the ability to air down your tires just that much more when you're off-roading, and you wouldn't have to give up that extra inch of space that they use on the rim for your tire. So I think that Ford could have gone to a 17-inch rim for this application in particular. Number two, as I said, the suspension. If you're going to be doing primarily just towing and no off-roading with the Tremor, do not get the Tremor. All right, it might look cool, but I promise you it's going to be less stable on the highways due to the suspension being softer. It is something I notice in my fifth wheel. I do get a little bit more of that porpoising because of it, and it's something that if I, in retrospect, had known about, I probably would have thought a little bit harder. And maybe that is something I should have just thought about, but it isn't something that came up to me. It wasn't something that was offered to me by the salespeople. It's something that, in hindsight, I wish someone would have told me about, and I could have thought about it twice. So that's the second thing for sure. Third thing, and this is a new development, but in 2024, the F-150 Tremors came with a modular front bumper. You should have made that modular bumper so that it could have fit on a 23 Tremor or a 22 or a 21. Why don't you have a modification so that you guys could fit a winch bumper onto this from Ford? Because I'm telling you, no matter what the price, you could tell me the bumper's $2,000 or $2,500 and I would pay it. Because I cannot for the life of me find a good system to do for a winch bumper on the front of this thing without having to relocate my intercooler. And I don't want to do that. So if you're buying this truck and planning on putting a winch on it, good luck. You're going to be in trouble. The only one that I've found that you could do it with is the ADD bumper. Offroad Designs something. Offroad Dynamic Designs, I think it's called. But you have to relocate your intercooler on the Ecoboost in order to make that winch bumper fit. I carry my winch in a cradle now in the back of the truck and only pull it out as needed, but it would be way more convenient if I could have that on the front of the truck and just do it that way. So something to think about Ford again. Smaller rims, a little bit better job on that bumper modification. That would be super nice. You guys will notice that I don't have a sunroof on this. I specifically ordered this truck without a sunroof. Now, why is that? Everybody wonders, well, what's the benefit to not having a sunroof? Nobody in the world is rigid enough to go off-roading. I knew for a fact when we flexed this thing over rocks and on off-camber situations, it was going to twist my frame ever so slightly. The sunroof could be prone to leaking. It could be prone to cracking. I didn't want that. I wanted as much of a solid body as possible. And just to show you guys, if you guys look on my windshield right now, you'll see 3 cracks in it. Those cracks, all 3 of them did not come from rock chips. They came from me off-roading, going over the wrong bump at too extreme of an angle, and bang. My windshield tweaked enough that any weak part in it decided to have a little crack. So that sucks. It's the price you pay. I mean, I'm not going to say that anything out there wouldn't have the same issue, but the Ford definitely had a little bit of a flex to its body, and that I attribute that to the windshield cracking. So the transmission shifting could have been an issue. It wasn't for me personally. I was okay with it because it did improve over time, but I know of people out there that is a big complaint for them, is that transmission. So if you're watching this and saying, hey, I hate my F-150, I don't like my Tremor, it's garbage, I should have bought a Chevy, blah, blah, blah. I totally get it. I understand. It will get smoother, but give it that time. And if it isn't getting smoother over time, I would go back to your dealership and ask for a relearn on that transmission. They can reset everything, and then you just keep driving it for another 10,000 kilometers, and it should go away. At least that's been my experience. Other than that, yeah, I mean, it's an awesome truck. In conclusion, you guys, like I said, there's way more things about this truck that I love than I hate. One of the main reasons that I bought the Ford is because I thought it checked all the boxes for me. I could off-road it, I could pull my whole setup out to the bush with it, and then unhook and go hit a trail. It's fast, it's quick, it's really quiet, there's no creaks, there's no cracks. I've had 20,000 kilometers to see what's going to develop and be an issue, whether it be wind noise or creaking suspension, or problems with windows not going down, or electronics failing, or problems with the driveline, anything like that. So far, 20,000 kilometers in, I'm nothing but happy with this truck. If you ask me, hey, would you buy another one? 100%. I'd probably just go get a 24 or 25 model just to have the latest and greatest, but there is nothing about this truck that detrimentally I hate about it. It does everything that I ask it to. I feel like I ask a lot. Very seldom can you get a truck that's maxed out on tow weight, off-roads really well, and then also will do a really good job of just daily driving and being comfortable and being something that you're happy to drive in every single day with all the creature comforts, and this truck does all of it. So I'm a big believer in the F-150, especially the Tremor model. I think it checks a lot of boxes. It's super sleek. It's a super good looking ride. I still get compliments to this day on it all the time. People come up, hey, it's a really cool truck. It sounds great. It looks great. It's got cool seats, the Tremor logo there in the seats. People love that. So yeah, honestly, it's a really nice truck. I love it, and I would recommend that you buy it. If you guys are still with us in the video, let me know if there was anything down below that you didn't agree with or you thought should be changed. But I love this truck. It's one of the only half tons that you can get that still has some tow rating to it, that has a locker front and rear, or a torsion diff front and rear. It's one of the only trucks you can get with a tow rating over 10,000 pounds. It's one of the only trucks that you can get with a payload over 1,400 pounds with the same amount of amenities. And at 5,500 pounds, it gets great gas mileage when it's empty too. So really, really good truck. Love it. Would recommend it. If you guys are still with us, please hit that subscribe button. We really appreciate the support. And if you guys are looking for more cool Tremor videos, I would encourage you to go check out my channel. I've got a couple videos down in the link below, so be sure to go into the description and check out a couple videos we have of pulling some heavy loads with this truck, as well as some off-road videos to show you what this truck is capable of in the bush. But on that note, you guys, I will see you guys in the next video, and I appreciate you guys tuning in. Until then, Country Slicker out.